The Fed cuts rates, Jimmy Kimmel's show is suddenly pulled, and President Trump gets a royal send-off in London. Plus, Governor Hochul gets snubbed. Flying cars literally collide, and Costco customers are told to toss their bubbly before it pops. And here's the trivia question. Which U.S. president has the most monuments? I'll tell you at the end of the show. It's Thursday, September 18th. This is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Good morning and welcome back to the Flyover Podcast. Yesterday was a pretty amazing day for us on YouTube. We had thousands of views on yesterday's podcast, so thank you to all who have found the Flyover. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel while you're at it and share with a friend. If you're new here, hello, I'm your weekday host, Ayla Brown. Let's take off with the biggest headlines of the day. The Fed kicked off today's headlines with a move many economists expected. On Wednesday, the Federal Reserve cut interest rates by a quarter point, bringing its key rate down to a range of 4 to 4.25%. Chair Jerome Powell called it, quote, risk management, saying the economy is cooling enough to justify a more neutral stance, and officials signaled there could be 2 more cuts before year end. The vote was 11-1, with Trump-appointed Governor Stephen Miron wanting an even bigger half-point cut. Major banks reacted right away. JP Morgan Chase, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America all dropped their prime lending rates to 4.25% from 4.5%. So mortgages, credit cards, and business loans could see a little relief soon. Over in late-night TV, ABC has pulled Jimmy Kimmel Live off the air indefinitely after a fiery monologue about the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. During his September 15th show, Kimmel accused what he called the, quote, MAGA gang of trying to spin Kirk's murder for political gain, saying, quote, we hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang trying to characterize this kid who killed Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them. Viewers and critics across the political spectrum blasted the comments as insensitive, especially so soon after a politically charged campus shooting. ABC confirmed Wednesday that the show is preempted indefinitely, and while reruns will fill the slot for now, the network hasn't given any timeline for Kimmel's return. And finally, President Trump is wrapping up his historic second state visit to the United Kingdom, the first time a U.S. president has been formally invited twice by a British monarch. Over the past 2 days, Trump and First Lady Melania were treated to a full royal pageantry at Windsor Castle, a guard of honor, a carriage procession, and a lavish state banquet hosted by King Charles III. Guests included Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Apple CEO Tim Cook, and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Before heading back to Washington, President Trump and Starmer are expected to sign new agreements on nuclear technology and trade. Here are your top political headlines. First, new details about the FBI's Arctic frost investigation. Newly released bureau files show the probe, launched after the 2020 election, looked into nearly 100 Republican and GOP-aligned groups, including Turning Point USA, which Charlie Kirk co-founded before his assassination earlier this month. The documents don't accuse those groups of crimes, but they reveal how wide the FBI's net was as it tracked election-related threats and possible foreign influence. More on this news in today's show notes. In Pittsburgh, a Pennsylvania man was arrested after intentionally driving his car into a metal gate at the FBI's local headquarters early Wednesday morning. Agents say the driver, who was not injured, ignored repeated commands to stop. Federal prosecutors have not yet announced charges, but officials say there's no sign of a larger plot. On Capitol Hill, Senate Republicans advanced a big batch of President Trump's nominees, about 4 dozen lower-level judges and agency officials, clearing a key procedural vote on Wednesday. The move sets up final confirmation votes later today and underscores how the Trump administration is working to reshape federal courts and agencies heading into the next election cycle. And a funding fight is heating up again. Democratic leaders warned they'll block the GOP's plan for a clean, short-term bill to keep the government open past the end of the fiscal year, unless it includes more money for healthcare programs like Medicaid. Republicans are resisting those add-ons, raising the risk of a partial government shutdown when current funding runs out on September 30th. Here are some podcast extra stories. Let's start in New York, where some would say things got awkward. Governor Kathy Hochul publicly endorsed Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani, a Democratic socialist running for New York City mayor. But less than a day later, Mamdani politely declined to return the favor, saying he's focused only on his own race. That quick snub is drawing fire from both parties. Critics say it makes Hochul look weak while boosting Mamdani's profile. Over in China, the future of flying cars hit a bump, literally. Two electric flying vehicles collided midair during a rehearsal for a major air show. One burst into flames after landing, and video of the black smoke is all over Chinese social media. Here's the good news. No one was hurt, but the crash raises big questions about whether these $300,000 cars of tomorrow are really ready for takeoff. And if you shop at Costco, listen up. The company has issued an urgent recall of its Kirkland Signature Prosecco. Some bottles have reportedly exploded on their own, yes, before anyone even opened them. The recall covers bottles sold between April 25th and August 26th in 12 Midwestern states. Costco says to wrap and throw away the bottles at home for safety, then bring the recall notice in for a full refund. Or you could drink it first and then, okay, never mind. I'm not going to give you advice on that. Coming up, Ben & Jerry's co-founder steps down. Tennis star Taylor Townsend apologizes for something he said. And Alaska's Fat Bear Week is back, and it's ready for your votes. Don't go anywhere. Thanks to our sponsor, Native Path Collagen. Do you want to look in the mirror and see a plumped, hydrated glow instead of more fine lines and wrinkles? Discover Native Path Collagen. Made with only type 1 and 3 collagen fibers, the two most important types that make up 90% of the collagen in your body. Found in your cartilage, skin, bones, hair, nails, and guts, types 1 and 3 provide maximum benefits without the need for unnecessary fillers. Native Path Collagen is a single ingredient formula with no fillers, additives, or artificial sweeteners. Plus, it's third-party tested for heavy metals, ensuring purity and safety. Completely flavorless, Native Path Collagen can be added into anything. I put it in my coffee every single morning, and my hair has grown so long. I really do feel like my skin is clearer and more vibrant. You can put it in your smoothies, your soups, you name it. And the best part, Native Path offers amazing bundle deals, which I have personally taken advantage of and bought. With this special link, you can get 3 or 6 packs at a fraction of the price of other brands, okay? So, also, they have a 365-day no-risk guarantee. Go to getnativepathcollagen.com/flyover, okay? Don't forget that. It's getnativepathcollagen.com/flyover to get yours today. If you've forgotten, we've linked all of that information in today's show notes. In finance, Ben & Jerry's is losing one of its founders. Jerry Greenfield says he's stepping away after 47 years, telling the New York Times he no longer feels the company can speak out on social issues the way it did before Unilever bought it back in 2000. Unilever recently tightened its messaging controls after shareholder complaints, a move that longtime fans say clashes with the brand's activist roots. And Eli Lilly is making a massive bet on U.S. manufacturing. The pharmaceutical giant will spend $5 billion on a new plant in Virginia, the first of 4 U.S. facilities planned over the next 5 years to meet surging demand for its diabetes and weight loss drugs like Mounjaro and Zepbound. State officials say it's one of the largest private investments in Virginia's history. And in a striking posthumous surge, Charlie Kirk's upcoming book, Stop in the Name of God, has shot to #1 on Amazon, while his podcast tops Apple's charts. Publishers say pre-orders spiked after his death as supporters sought to honor the conservative activist's legacy. Here is your stock market update. The Nasdaq slipped 0.33%, S&P 500 edged down 0.10%, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average bucked the trend with a 0.57% gain. Bitcoin dropped 0.77% to about almost 116,000, while gold ticked up 0.13% to roughly $3,694 per ounce. The big mover of the day? Gemini Space Station stock fell 12.8%, extending a week-long slide for the cryptocurrency platform launched by the Winklevoss twins. In sports news, Seattle Mariners slugger Cal Raleigh passed Mickey Mantle for the most home runs by a switch hitter in a season with 56. He's now tied with Ken Griffey Jr. for the most home runs in a season in Mariners history. American tennis pro Taylor Townsend is doing damage control after a social media post about local cuisine in Shenzhen, China, went viral. Before the Billie Jean Cup finals, she shared a video joking about dishes like bullfrog and turtle, which drew backlash in China's tightly regulated online space. Townsend quickly apologized, saying she meant no disrespect and is excited to compete. Meanwhile, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver says the league is exploring a full European division that could tip off as early as 2027 or 2028. The NBA already stages regular season games in Paris and Abu Dhabi, and permanent league overseas would be its biggest global expansion since the G League launched 2 decades ago. And on the NFL sidelines, LA Rams coach Sean McVay revealed he hurt his foot during Sunday's win over the Titans, apparently catching it on a cable while celebrating a touchdown. He joked he'll be limping through practices this week, but assured fans he won't miss any game day action. In science and technology, NASA scientists are warning that solar activity is running hotter than expected. They've tracked a steady rise in solar winds and magnetic energy since 2008, setting the stage for stronger solar storms that can disrupt satellites, power grids, and even airline communications. Space weather forecasters say the next peak is due in 2025, so they're urging utilities and airlines to prepare. In Taiwan, hospitals are testing Neurobot, a new AI-powered service robot that can deliver medications and guide patients through clinics. Early trials show it can trim nurses' workloads by nearly 30%. A big deal as hospitals everywhere struggle with staffing shortages. Health officials say if it works well, it could roll out to more facilities next year. And if you're an early riser, set an alarm for Friday's pre-dawn sky show. The crescent moon, Venus, and the bright star Regulus will cluster together in the constellation Leo, creating a rare triple alignment that astronomers say won't appear this tightly again for more than a decade. Here are a few stories that we thought you should know about today in the Etc. section. A car collector's dream just turned up at an estate sale in upstate New York. It was a binder full of 1940 Buick concept drawings created by students from the Detroit Institute of Automobile Styling, some of whom later became legends in automotive design. The binder includes sketches for fenders, grille designs, and interiors that never made it past prototype stage, giving us a rare peek at what might have been. Check out these photos in today's show notes. They're pretty fascinating. IKEA is leaning into its Swedish meatball legacy with a new fun release, a 12-inch trough-shaped platter made just for meatballs, meant to line them up like little thrones. It's being rolled out in stores this fall, and diners are already super hyped. This platter isn't just decorative, it's a call-out to fans who think IKEA's meatballs deserve a grand presentation. I've never tried them, by the way. And wildlife lovers, mark your calendars because Fat Bear Week in Alaska's Katmai National Park returns September 23rd through the 30th for its 11th run. Online voting will once again spotlight the grizzlies as they pile on salmon and fatten up for hibernation. Bears like Chunk, Grazer, and Bucky are already fan favorites, and photographers say this is one of the best years yet for bear spotting, as salmon runs have been really strong. Here are the results of yesterday's poll question. Which is your favorite Robert Redford movie? 28% said Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. 19% said The Sting. 15% said The Natural. 11% voted The Way We Were, 10% said Other, 9% said Out of Africa, and 8% said 3 days of the condor. There you go. Thank you so much to everyone who voted. Here's today's poll question. How often do you change your password? Is it every month, every 3 to 6 months, once a year, only when required, or people do that? I only do it when it's required. I'm terrible. I know, but I have way too many things on my mind to remember new passwords. Sometimes I can barely remember what day is it. Wait, is it Thursday? I'm just kidding. I knew it was that. What about you? You can vote in the show notes below, and I will read the answers in tomorrow's episode. You've made it to the trivia question, and here it is. Which U.S. president has the most monuments? The answer? Abraham Lincoln tops the list with nearly 200 U.S. monuments, followed by George Washington and surprisingly Polish Revolutionary War hero Kazimierz Pulaski, who even has more memorials than Thomas Jefferson. That's it for today's Flyover podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the Flyover YouTube page. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, don't forget to rate the show with a 5-star review. Thank you. Tomorrow's Friday, so let's have a great day today, and I'll be back tomorrow with more headlines. Until then, thanks for flying with us.